What if the sharpest mind in the room isn't the one who wins, but the one who gets played? We've been taught to worship raw intellect. We assume the person with the fastest recall, the most complex arguments, the highest IQ will naturally rise to the top. But history's graveyard is filled with geniuses who were outmaneuvered, outlasted, and outsmarted by people they considered their inferiors. Why? Because intelligence is a tool, but if you don't understand the psychology of the person holding the tool, you can be disarmed. Niccolo Machiavelli, the master of political strategy, spent his life observing this exact phenomenon. He saw that the men who controlled the fate of nations weren't the scholars or philosophers. They were the ones who understood the hidden currents of human nature, the desires, the fears, the silent ego that drives every decision. They didn't just think, they rewired how they processed reality itself. This isn't a video about becoming smarter. This is a guide, making your mind a more dangerous operating system. We're going to dissect 10 psychological protocols forged from Machiavellian logic that will allow an ordinary mind to see the game so clearly they can navigate around the most formidable intellectual opponents. This isn't about winning arguments. It's about owning the arena. If you're ready to shift from being a piece on the board to the player moving the pieces, type ISEE the game in the comments. Let's rewire. Number 1. Develop peripheral vision. Most people enter a room and their focus narrows to a single point, the smartest person, the loudest voice. They immediately feel the pressure to compete on that person's terms. Their heart rate ticks up. They start formulating their best point, waiting for a pause to jump in. They've already lost. By focusing on the brightest light, they've blinded themselves to the entire landscape. A strategic mind does the opposite. When you walk into any environment, a meeting, negotiation, even a casual conversation, your first job is not to speak. It's to scan. Observe the quiet alliances. Who subtly defers to whom? Who looks away when a certain topic is raised? Who is trying too hard? This peripheral awareness is your first layer of defense. While the genius is busy constructing a logical fortress, you're reading the emotional blueprint of the room. You notice the insecurity behind the confident tone, the hidden motive behind the casual question. This data, invisible to those who are only looking for a debate. But for you, it's a map. You'll never win by outlogicking a logician. But you can control the environment around them, and that's a much more powerful position. You're not trying to be the sun, you're learning to read the wind. Awareness is the new intelligence. Number 2, extend your temporal horizon. The average brain is a slave to the now. A provocation is issued, and they must respond instantly. A question is asked, and they must fill the silence. This reactivity is a trap. It keeps you perpetually responding to the last move, always one step behind. The strategic thinker trains their mind to stretch time. While others are fixated on the present moment, you are already projecting the trajectory of the conversation. You're asking yourself, if I say this, where will we be in 5 minutes? If they react with anger, what's the next logical pivot? This isn't about being slow, it's about being predictive. Imagine a chess player who only looks at the piece they are about to move. They will be destroyed by someone who sees the board 3 moves ahead. In conversation, this manifests as calm. When someone throws an emotional jab, you don't flinch because your mind isn't stuck in that moment. You see the jab for what it is, a setup for a later move or a sign of their own impatience. You might even let them land it. Because you see that by taking that small hit now, you can maneuver them into a position of overconfidence later. 2. You stop reacting to the world and start directing its flow. You gain the power of strategic patience. This single shift makes you appear unshakable because you are. You're living in a different time frame than everyone else. Number 3. The power of the neutral face. Emotional leakage is the enemy of influence. A smirk of satisfaction, a furrowed brow of confusion, a slight crack in the voice, these are not just reactions. They are data points you are handing to your opponent for free. They tell the observer exactly where to apply pressure. Machiavelli understood that the prince who cannot mask his intent is a prince who can be easily manipulated. Mastering emotional neutrality isn't about becoming a robot. It's about creating a firewall between what you feel inside and what you project externally. Your face becomes a calm, still lake. They can throw stones, insults, challenges, praise, but they see no ripple. This creates a powerful vacuum. Human beings are wired to seek feedback. You deny them that feedback, their own mind starts to fill the void. They begin to wonder, did that land? Is he unimpressed? Is he hiding something? Their uncertainty grows and they start to overfunction. They talk more to get a reaction. They explain their position further, often revealing their weaknesses. Haven't done anything but remain still, and they are unraveling their own strategy. This is the quiet authority of the composed mind. You become the calm center that everyone else orbits around, unsure of your gravity. Number 4, the authority of clarity. There's a common misconception that intelligence is demonstrated through complexity. People bury their ideas in jargon, long-winded explanations, and intricate logic, mistaking confusion for depth. But what actually happens in the listener's mind? They get tired. Their attention wanders. They may be impressed by your vocabulary, but they won't be moved by your argument. You can't influence someone who has mentally checked out. The true power move is radical clarity. A simple, direct statement cuts through the noise like a blade. Think of the most impactful quotes in history. They are rarely long. They are concise, memorable, and repeatable. I have a dream. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Simplicity is not a lack of intelligence, it's a sign of mastery. It shows you understand the core of the idea so deeply that you can strip away everything non-essential. When you speak with clarity, you offer the listener a mental anchor. They can grasp your point, hold on to it, and repeat it to others. Your idea spreads. Your influence grows. While the genius is building a labyrinth, you are building a lighthouse. Your words become the reference point for the entire conversation, not because they were the loudest, but because they were the easiest to see. Number 5. Weaponizing the pause. Silence terrifies the average person. In a conversation, the moment a pause emerges, they feel an almost physical need to fill it. They add qualifiers, they over-explain, they nervously chuckle. This is a sign of weakness. It signals a need for approval, a fear of losing the connection. But what if you saw silence not as a void to be filled, but as a pressure tool? The strategic communicator understands that the pause is one of the most potent weapons in their arsenal. When someone finishes speaking and you simply wait, the dynamic shifts. You're not being rude, you're being deliberate. Those 2 or 3 seconds of silence feel like an eternity to the other person. In that void, their mind starts working against them. They begin to doubt what they just said. They wonder if you're unimpressed. They often start talking again just to break the tension, and in doing so they walk their argument back, reveal a new layer of doubt, or make a concession they hadn't planned. You didn't ask a follow-up question. You didn't challenge them. You simply gave them space, and they used it to hang themselves. Mastering the pause also protects your own thinking. It gives you a moment to truly process, to separate the emotional charge from the factual content. You respond from a place of choice, not reflex. This habit builds an aura of thoughtfulness. People learn that when you speak, it's because you have something worth saying, and the room naturally quiets down to listen. Number 6. Decode the pattern, ignore the noise. Words are cheap. Anyone can craft a compelling story about their intentions, their loyalty, their brilliance. If you judge people by their promises or their explanations, you are setting yourself up for betrayal. The only reliable data source is behavior over time. Machiavelli was obsessed with this. He didn't care what a leader said he would do, he watched what he did when pressure was applied. You must become a student of patterns. How does a person react to a small victory? Do they become generous or arrogant? How do they treat someone who can do nothing for them? Do they show respect or dismiss them? These are the consistent threads of character. A single incident can be an anomaly, but a pattern is a prediction. When you train your eye to see patterns, conversations transform. You're no longer listening to the surface-level sales pitch. You're cross-referencing their current claims with their past behaviors. They say they're a team player, but I've watched them take credit 3 times in the last month. This knowledge is priceless. You stop being surprised by people's actions because you saw the script unfolding long ago. You can predict their moves with unnerving accuracy. You can trust the right people and, more importantly, you can distance yourself from the wrong ones before they have a chance to cause damage. Watch what they do. Their words are just background noise. Number 7. Sete de tempo. Most interactions happen at a default chaotic speed. Someone speaks fast, the other responds faster, and soon it's a verbal arms race where thinking is replaced by reacting. In this environment, the loudest and quickest often appear to be winning. But are they? Speed is not strategy. The true master of the room is the one who controls the tempo. Think of a conductor guiding an orchestra. They don't play every instrument, they set the pace. You can do the same. By modulating your own speaking rate, by introducing intentional pauses, and by refusing to be swept up in the emotional urgency of others, you become an anchor. If you laughed, conversation becomes heated and rapid. You can slow it down by simply speaking a little softer and a little slower. It's a psychological phenomenon. The group will unconsciously gravitate towards the calmer, more deliberate presence. You become the center of gravity. People will start to mirror you. They will lower their voices. They will wait for you to finish. You haven't demanded control, you have exerted it through your presence. This subtle command over the rhythm of an exchange gives you a massive advantage. You can accelerate conversation when you want to push someone into a hasty decision, or decelerate it when you need time to think or want to diffuse a tense situation. The pace is yours to command. Number 8. The strategic conservation of attention. Your mental energy is your most precious and most limited resource. Every argument you engage in, every piece of negative feedback you dwell on, every trivial drama you get drawn into, it all drains from the same finite battery. Most people are mentally exhausted not because they've done great work, but because they've spent the day reacting to digital noise and emotional ambushes. A strategic mind treats attention like gold. Before engaging with any stimulus, they ask a simple question. Does this serve my objective? If the answer is no, they let it pass. This is harder than it sounds. Our ego wants to defend itself. Our curiosity wants to know what the gossip is. But this discipline is what keeps your mind sharp for the moments that truly matter. When you stop feeding every troll, arguing every pointless point, and worrying about every opinion, you free up immense cognitive capacity. You can then direct all that focused energy towards your own goals, your own complex problems. You become like a sniper, not a machine gunner. One shot, one target, maximum impact. People may misinterpret your non-engagement as weakness. Let them. While they are busy burning calories on 100 small fires, you are conserving your strength to build a fortress. You are not ignoring the world, you are prioritizing it. This scarcity of your attention makes it infinitely more valuable. When you do choose to focus on someone or something, they feel the full weight of your presence. Number 9. The silent architecture of presence. Influence isn't built in the moment you open your mouth. It's built in the minutes, and even seconds, before you utter a single word. People are constantly, subconsciously, making judgments. Reading your posture, your breathing, your eye contact. They are sensing your emotional state before your first sentence lands. If you walk into a room with rushed, jittery energy, you have already framed yourself as a lower status player. Your ideas, no matter how brilliant, will have to fight uphill to be heard. The strategic mind understands this and actively crafts their pre-verbal presence. They take a moment to center themselves. They regulate their breathing. They stand or sit with a grounded, open posture. This isn't about pretending, it's about intentionally aligning your physical state with the mental state you want to project, one of calm, unshakable confidence. When you are grounded, the air around you feels different. People pick up on this. They become more receptive. You are sending a signal that precedes any logical argument. I am in control here. I am not a threat, but I am not to be underestimated. This frame makes everything you say afterwards land with more weight. You're not just presenting an idea, you're presenting an idea from a position of authority that has already been silently accepted by the room. Number 10. The unpredictable variable. Highly intelligent people are masters of pattern recognition. They study you, learn your habits, your triggers, your predictable reactions. Once they have your pattern, they can predict your moves and set traps accordingly. Your predictability is their greatest weapon. So, how do you defend against this? Becoming strategically unpredictable. This doesn't mean being erratic or unstable. It means introducing calculated variance into your behavior. You remain grounded in your principles, but your tactics are fluid. Sometimes you respond immediately. Other times you pause for an uncomfortably long time. Sometimes you challenge a point directly. Other times you completely ignore it and steer the conversation in a new direction. This variability breaks the other person's mental model of you. Their confidence wavers. They can no longer anticipate your next move, and that hesitation is a gap you can exploit. They spend more mental energy trying to recalculate you than they do on their own strategy. You become a question they can't solve. This principle is incredibly powerful in negotiations, debates, or any high-stakes interaction. A person who cannot be easily read is a person who cannot be easily controlled. You are not chaotic, you are a wild card. And in a game of pure logic, a wild card is the most dangerous piece on the board. Most people spend their lives trying to prove their intelligence. They collect facts like trophies, hoping to be recognized as the smartest person in the room. But the room doesn't care. The world doesn't reward the smartest, it rewards the most strategic. It rewards the person who can see the hidden dynamics, control their own emotions, and move with deliberate intent. What we've covered today isn't a set of tricks. It's a fundamental rewiring of your cognitive operating system. It's the difference between being a powerful processor and being the one who decides what problems the processor gets to solve. You stop being a reactor and start being an observer. You stop chasing the conversation and start guiding its current. You become the person others can't quite figure out, the one whose next move is never certain. That quiet, unshakable awareness is a power that no amount of raw intelligence can defeat. If this perspective shifted something today, hit the like button to help others on Winds of Thought find this map. And subscribe if you're ready to explore the deeper architecture of the mind. The game is always being played. The only question is, are you going to be a piece or the player?